Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about something that affects every single one of us at some point in our lives: anger. Now, I'm not here to sugarcoat it or tell you that it's wrong to feel angry, because anger is a natural emotion. But let me ask you this: what happens when you let that anger control you? What happens when that rage takes hold and starts driving your decisions, your actions, and even your relationships? The truth is, it destroys more than you realize. Anger often arises from a deep-seated cause that we might not even be fully aware of. It's rarely just about the present moment or the immediate situation. The real root of anger often lies in our past experiences, unmet expectations, and unresolved emotions. When something triggers you, it's usually not about the trigger itself, but rather about what it represents to you. Perhaps it reminds you of a past hurt, an injustice you experienced, or a time when you felt powerless or overlooked. Many times, anger is a defense mechanism. It's easier to feel angry than to face the vulnerability or pain underneath. When you feel hurt, frustrated, or disappointed, it's natural to seek something to blame. Anger gives you an outlet, an expression, but it doesn't solve the underlying issue. The more we avoid addressing the root causes, the more anger festers and grows, often spilling over into areas of our lives where it doesn't belong. Identifying the root cause of anger means reflecting on what has shaped your triggers. It requires looking at your past, whether it's past relationships, childhood experiences, or situations where you felt slighted or ignored. Once you understand the deeper reasons for your anger, you can begin to address them directly. This is the first step in reclaiming control over how you respond to challenges, instead of letting old wounds dictate your emotional responses. When we take the time to dig deeper into why we feel angry, we start to unravel the tangled emotions that have been building up. Understanding the root cause empowers you to deal with those emotions in a healthier way, leading to more peace and less outbursts. It's not about excusing your anger or justifying it. It's about recognizing the source so that you don't have to keep reacting from a place of pain or frustration. Anger is one of the most powerful emotions we experience, but the key to understanding it is recognizing that it's not something that simply happens to us. Anger is a choice we make in response to what's happening around us. We might not be able to control the situations or the people that trigger us, but we can absolutely control how we respond. It's easy to believe that our anger is automatic, that it just erupts in reaction to external circumstances. But in reality, we have more control over our emotions than we often realize. Every time something happens that irritates or frustrates us, there's a split second where we make a decision. We decide whether to respond with calm, with understanding, or with anger. That initial spark of irritation is not anger. It's simply a reaction. Anger only comes into play when we choose to hold on to that irritation, when we let it grow, and when we allow it to define how we interact with the world around us. It's the moment when we decide to let that irritation dictate our behavior, rather than choosing a more thoughtful, measured response. Think about it. Have you ever been in a situation where someone did something to upset you, but you didn't get angry? Perhaps you were able to laugh it off or let it slide because it wasn't that big of a deal to you. In that moment, you chose not to let the situation bother you, but in another scenario, when the same thing happens, you might react with anger. The difference isn't the situation itself, it's the choice you made. You get to decide how much power you give to that irritation. When we recognize anger as a choice, we also recognize the power we have to break the cycle. We no longer have to react impulsively or automatically. We can pause, take a breath, and decide how we want to respond. This shift gives us control over our emotional state and helps us avoid unnecessary stress or regret. Instead of giving our power away to external factors, we start taking responsibility for how we handle our emotions. Anger has a profound impact on both our mental and physical health, often in ways we don't realize until the damage has already been done. While anger may seem like a temporary emotional response, it has lasting effects that can affect our well-being over time. The relationship between anger and health is complex and significant, influencing everything from our stress levels to our immune system and even our lifespan. On a mental level, chronic anger can lead to heightened levels of anxiety and depression. When we regularly respond to stress with anger, our bodies become accustomed to being in a constant state of fight or flight. This means that our minds are always on alert, which over time can lead to emotional exhaustion, difficulty focusing, and an inability to relax. As we become more reactive to situations, our sense of control diminishes, making us feel helpless or overwhelmed. This can erode our sense of mental stability and well-being, creating a cycle where anger is the default response to even small inconveniences. The constant state of tension that anger creates can also impair cognitive function. When we're angry, our ability to think clearly is compromised. Instead of analyzing situations logically, we act impulsively, which can lead to regretful decisions, strained relationships, and missed opportunities. The emotional toll of regularly engaging in anger is not just felt in the moment, but carries through to our everyday interactions and long-term mental health. Over time, this kind of emotional stress can lead to a diminished sense of self-worth, as we begin to feel like our emotions are controlling us instead of the other way around. The physical effects of anger are equally concerning. When we get angry, our body releases a cascade of stress hormones such as adrenaline and cortisol. These hormones are essential for short bursts of energy during stressful situations, but when they're constantly released due to ongoing anger, they start to take a toll on the body. High levels of cortisol in particular are linked to various physical problems, including weight gain, high blood pressure, heart disease, and digestive issues. Chronic anger can also increase the risk of developing more serious health conditions, such as strokes and heart attacks, as a continuous strain on the cardiovascular system can lead to long-term damage. Furthermore, when we hold on to anger, we tend to engage in unhealthy coping mechanisms, such as overeating, smoking, or alcohol consumption, which can further damage our physical health. These behaviors often serve as a temporary escape from the emotional pain caused by anger, but they contribute to a range of other health problems, from obesity to liver damage. Anger also weakens the immune system. When we're constantly in a state of emotional arousal, our immune system is compromised, making us more vulnerable to illnesses like colds, flu, and even more severe conditions. The persistent presence of stress hormones in the body impairs the ability of immune cells to fight off infections, leaving us more susceptible to disease. In addition to these internal effects, anger can also take a toll on our social and relational health. Chronic anger often leads to conflict with others, whether at work, at home, or in social settings. Over time, the isolation and strain that comes with frequent angry outbursts can lead to loneliness and decreased social support, further exacerbating the mental and physical health risks. What's more, the emotional energy spent on being angry takes away from the energy we could be dedicating to more positive, productive pursuits. Instead of focusing on growth, happiness, or connection, we're expending all of our energy on negative emotions, which only serves to further hinder our overall well-being. The bottom line is that anger is not just an emotion. It's a powerful force that affects our entire being. It impacts our mind, body, and spirit, slowly eroding our health over time. To maintain our well-being, it's crucial to understand how anger affects us and take steps to manage it in healthy ways. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful tools we possess, yet it is often one of the most difficult things to practice. At its core, forgiveness is not about excusing someone's harmful actions or pretending they didn't happen. Instead, forgiveness is about releasing the hold that resentment and anger have on our lives, ultimately freeing ourselves from the emotional burden that comes with holding on to past pain. The power of forgiveness lies not in what we offer to others, but in what we give to ourselves, a chance to heal, grow, and reclaim our peace. When we hold on to grudges, we carry the weight of the past wherever we go. These unresolved emotions, often rooted in anger, hurt, or betrayal, stay with us and shape our present reality. We might think we're punishing the person who wronged us by holding on to our anger, but in truth we are only punishing ourselves. The longer we stay trapped in negative emotions, the more difficult it becomes to move forward, to create new relationships, and to experience genuine peace. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks this door, allowing us to move beyond the hurt and create space for healing and renewal. Forgiveness doesn't mean we condone the behavior that caused us pain, nor does it mean we have to forget what happened. It means choosing to release the negative emotions attached to the situation and allowing ourselves to stop carrying the burden of resentment. When we forgive, we are no longer defined by the wrongs done to us. Instead, we take back our power and regain control of our emotional lives. It's an act of strength, not weakness, because it requires us to rise above the emotions that would otherwise keep us trapped. The benefits of forgiveness extend far beyond emotional well-being. On a physical level, forgiveness has been shown to lower stress levels, reduce blood pressure, and improve overall health. Chronic anger and resentment are directly linked to physical health problems, such as heart disease, digestive issues, and weakened immune systems. By letting go of these negative emotions, we free ourselves from the physical toll they take on our bodies. The act of forgiveness not only eases our hearts, but also enhances our physical health, leading to a longer, more fulfilling life. Moreover, forgiveness has a profound impact on our mental and emotional health. Holding on to anger and bitterness creates a constant state of inner turmoil. We are unable to think clearly, focus on the present, or pursue our dreams effectively because our minds are consumed with negative thoughts about the past. When we forgive, we create emotional space. We no longer allow the hurt to define us. Instead, we cultivate inner peace, which improves our ability to handle stress and face challenges with resilience. This mental clarity also enables us to cultivate better relationships, as forgiveness clears the path for understanding, empathy, and compassion. Forgiveness also empowers us to let go of the need for revenge or justice. When we hold on to resentment, we may find ourselves fantasizing about getting even, seeking some form of retribution to make things right. But this only keeps us in a cycle of negativity, where we remain trapped in the same emotional space. Forgiveness is a form of release. By choosing to forgive, we stop waiting for someone else to make it right, and we take control of our own healing process. We stop allowing the wrongdoer's actions to dictate our emotions and instead choose to define our lives by peace, freedom, and love. The process of forgiveness doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey that requires patience, self-reflection, and sometimes a lot of emotional work. It may take time to fully forgive someone, and there may be moments of doubt or relapse into old feelings of anger. However, the more we practice forgiveness, the easier it becomes to cultivate. It's not about forgetting or condoning. It's about healing. When we forgive, we choose to move forward without the baggage of the past holding us back. We make room for new possibilities, for personal growth, and for deeper, more meaningful connections with others. Focusing on solutions rather than problems is a mindset shift that can profoundly impact how we navigate challenges in life. It's all too easy to become fixated on the difficulties we face, to dwell on the setbacks, and to feel overwhelmed by the obstacles standing in our way. When we focus solely on the problem, we often find ourselves stuck, replaying the same issues over and over in our minds and getting lost in frustration and helplessness. This cycle only serves to drain our energy and prevent us from moving forward. But when we consciously choose to focus on finding solutions, everything changes. The moment we redirect our attention towards solutions, we empower ourselves to take action, think creatively, and create new possibilities. A problem-profied mindset tends to keep us trapped in a negative loop where we continuously analyze what went wrong, why things are difficult, and how unfair the situation is. While it's important to acknowledge challenges and understand their roots, constantly rehashing the problem doesn't help us find a way out. Instead, it reinforces feelings of powerlessness as we focus on what's not working rather than what can work. This can lead to paralysis, where we feel incapable of making decisions or taking any meaningful steps toward change. It's easy to fall into the trap of blaming external circumstances or other people, but in doing so, we relinquish our control and our ability to shape our own outcomes. On the other hand, when we shift our focus to solutions, we begin to break free from the grip of frustration. Solution-oriented thinking encourages us to take a step back, breathe, and think about the next best step forward. It urges us to ask ourselves, what can I do now to make this situation better? This question opens up a space for creativity, resourcefulness, and action. By focusing on solutions, we start to see new possibilities that we may have overlooked when we were too fixated on the problem. We stop being paralyzed by uncertainty and start thinking strategically about how to overcome the obstacle. One of the key benefits of focusing on solutions is that it transforms the way we view challenges. Instead of seeing problems as insurmountable obstacles, we begin to see them as opportunities for growth. Every problem presents an opportunity to learn, to adapt, and to develop new skills. When we focus on solutions, we cultivate a mindset of growth and resilience, recognizing that challenges are part of the process of becoming stronger and more capable. This perspective shift makes it easier to stay motivated and proactive even when the road ahead seems difficult. Moreover, a solution-focused approach encourages collaboration and open-mindedness. When we focus on finding a solution, we invite input from others and are more likely to work together to find the best path forward. Whether in the workplace, in relationships, or in personal challenges, looking for solutions rather than getting bogged down in problems helps us foster cooperation and build stronger, more supportive connections. By moving away from blame and focusing on actionable steps, we create a space for problem solving, where ideas can flow freely and progress can be made. In addition, focusing on solutions promotes a sense of empowerment. When we focus on what we can do rather than what is beyond our control, we reclaim agency over our lives. It's easy to feel disempowered when we're constantly consumed by problems, but by shifting our mindset, we regain control over our responses and our actions. This sense of empowerment gives us the confidence to tackle new challenges, knowing that no matter how big or small, we are capable of finding a way forward. It reminds us that while we cannot always control our circumstances, we can control how we respond to them. Ultimately, a solution-oriented mindset fosters a more positive and proactive outlook on life. It encourages us to stop dwelling on what's wrong and start focusing on what we can do to improve the situation. By focusing on solutions, we not only enhance our ability to solve problems, but also strengthen our resilience and build a sense of hope for the future. The more we practice this mindset, the easier it becomes to approach life's challenges with optimism and creativity. Anger is often seen as a destructive emotion, something that stands in the way of growth, progress, and inner peace. But what if we could harness the energy behind anger and use it as fuel for positive change? Anger, when properly understood and channeled, has the potential to be one of the most powerful motivators in our lives. Rather than allowing anger to consume us, we can transform it into a driving force that pushes us toward our goals, fuels our passion, and inspires us to take action. The first step in transforming anger into motivation is recognizing the energy it generates. When we're angry, our body releases a surge of adrenaline and cortisol, preparing us to take immediate action. This physiological response is part of our natural fight or flight mechanism, meant to help us face threats or challenges head on. The key to transforming anger into motivation is learning how to direct this energy in a productive direction rather than letting it spiral out of control and create chaos. One way to begin channeling anger productively is by identifying the source of the anger. Often, anger is a response to feeling powerless, frustrated, or wronged. When we recognize these underlying emotions, we can use them as signals that something needs to change. If we're angry because we feel overlooked at work, for example, that anger can serve as a reminder that we need to advocate for ourselves and take action to address the situation. If we're angry about an injustice we've witnessed in the world, that anger can motivate us to get involved, speak out, and work toward change. Rather than allowing the anger to fester and create bitterness, we can use it as a catalyst for personal growth, for taking charge of our circumstances, and for making a positive impact in the world. Another way to transform anger into motivation is by reframing it. Instead of viewing anger as a negative emotion that needs to be suppressed or avoided, we can reframe it as a signal that something important is at stake. When we're angry, it often means that something we care about has been threatened or violated. Whether that's our values, our sense of fairness, or our self-respect. By reframing anger as a passionate response to something that matters deeply to us, we can tap into a source of power that drives us to take action. The energy behind our anger can be used to fuel our pursuit of justice, personal success, or positive change. Anger also has the potential to push us outside of our comfort zones. When we allow ourselves to feel the full intensity of anger, it can serve as a wake-up call that something needs to change in our lives. Anger often arises when we feel stagnant or trapped, and it can signal that we need to step up, make a bold decision, or take a risk. Rather than letting anger keep us stuck in a cycle of frustration and negativity, we can use it to propel us forward, to move beyond our current limitations, and to create the life we desire. When we view anger as an invitation to take action, it becomes a tool for growth, pushing us to do things we might have otherwise avoided. One of the most powerful ways to transform anger into motivation is by setting specific, actionable goals. Anger without direction is just a burst of emotional energy that quickly fades. But when we direct that energy toward clear goals, it becomes a driving force that keeps us moving forward. When we're angry about a situation or an injustice, we can use that anger to fuel our determination to make things better. Whether it's working toward a career goal, a personal achievement, or a cause we believe in, setting clear intentions allows us to channel the power of our anger into focused action. Moreover, anger can also help us clarify our values and priorities. Often, anger stems from a sense of violation, whether it's a violation of our rights, our boundaries, or our values. By paying attention to what makes us angry, we can better understand what truly matters to us and what we're willing to fight for. This clarity can be a powerful motivator, guiding us toward the things that align with our core beliefs and driving us to take action in ways that feel meaningful and aligned with our purpose. Ultimately, transforming anger into motivation requires a shift in mindset. Instead of seeing anger as something to avoid or suppress, we begin to see it as a tool that can help us grow and achieve our goals. When we learn to channel the energy behind our anger in a productive direction, we can use it to fuel our ambitions, fuel our resilience, and create the change we want to see in our lives. Anger doesn't have to be a destructive force. When we harness its power, it can become one of the most powerful sources of motivation we have.